They called it impossible. They said the North was too fractured, too co-opted, too afraid. Then a young man pointed a loudspeaker at the sky in the heart of Hausa land and said, "We have the numbers and we are done being invisible in our own home." That video is now moving through phones from Kano to Kaduna to Katsina like a quiet fire. And what it means for the balance of power in this country, nobody in your mainstream newsroom will say it plainly. I will. Before we go deeper, this channel exists precisely for moments like this. Subscribe now. The conversations that change countries rarely trend, they circulate. Here is what the political class does not want mapped in public. The Hausa-Fulani alliance that has anchored northern power for 6 decades is fracturing, not from outside pressure, but from within. Ordinary Hausa men and women, the ones pushing wheelbarrows, farming under threat, watching their children fall behind in a state that has their name but not their face, are asking a question that cannot be unasked. How did we become strangers in Kano? Walk through any major northern market today. Ask the man on the Okada, ask the woman at the roadside stall. The answer comes the same way. First in a whisper, then in a statement, then in something that sounds dangerously close to a political program. They are not speaking of ethnic hatred, they are speaking of replacement, of watching their traditional institutions hollowed out, their land negotiated over their heads, their political representation occupied by men who do not share their tongue at home. The Hausa have a proverb, "Duk wanda yei barci, maki insa ya farka." While you slept, your enemy was awake. It appears that sleep is ending. And yet, here is the open loop the comfortable will not close. Who benefits from this awakening and who is steering it? This is no longer a northern story. It is a Nigerian one, because the architecture of every election since 1999 has rested on one assumption, that the North votes as a bloc, and that bloc is delivered by a handful of powerful custodians. Shatter that assumption, and you shatter the electoral map that every presidential strategist in Abuja has been reading from. If a credible Hausa political movement emerges, independent of the Fulani political establishment, aligned with the Middle Belt, courted by southern coalitions, then 2027 does not look like any election this country has held before. The poverty weaponized to buy compliance becomes the very fuel of revolt. The silence enforced for a generation becomes the roar of a constituency that finally knows its own size. But let us be precise about the cost of getting this wrong. Political awakenings in Nigeria have a history of being hijacked by the very elites they rise against, by foreign-funded agendas, by ethnic entrepreneurs who trade liberation language for personal positioning. The danger is not that the Hausa will not wake up. The danger is that when they do, someone will already be at the door with a new chain dressed as a flag. Nigeria has enough graves dug by premature revolutions. What this moment demands is not a loudspeaker, it demands a ledger, names, policies, accountability, and a politics of consequence. The fly that refuses to listen follows the corpse into the grave. The question is whether this movement knows the difference between the two.